Okay. All right. Mazi of Ohaegbu, it's my pleasure to welcome you. So, guys, we are ready to go. Mazi of Ohaegbu is here. All right. Let's mute everyone. Mute all. Then Njenje Media, co-host. Okay. Then Barrister Ayeka, please unmute yourself. Mazi of Ohaegbu, unmute yourself.
Advisory Council.
Okay, sir. I will start recording now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Alumba Television in conjunction with Njenje Media TV tonight. We are here to discuss Anambra Governorship 2021 exclusive and what happened last night at the PDP primaries. We have our guests tonight, Chief Obinna Ohaegbu, who is a super delegate and witnessed all things at the Women's Center in Oka. Mazi of Ohaegbu, you are welcome to our program tonight.
Thank you for having me, Anambra.
All right. And we also have Honorable Barrister Ayeka Valentine, who is also a super delegate to the PD primaries tonight. Barrister Valentine, you are welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, listeners and viewers.
All right, thank you. Let's go. We also have the two other discussants, Augustine Ikedoji, I'm not sure she's here with us already, and Mr. Obinna Okafor, and another PDP major player in the state. All these guys are members of PDP. So yesterday, we had first information that the PDP primary will be postponed last week, and suddenly we heard again 2 days to the primary that it was no longer postponed. Let's start with Honorable Ayeka Valentine. Why was the primaries initially postponed and then unpostponed again? Can you give us an idea?
Normally, the issue of the postponement of the primary, I should say, is speculative, because there was a documentary information about the primary, about all the other activities leading up to the primary.
Barrister, are you still with us?
Sorry, I think there's going to be, there was a network issue. So like I was saying, there was a documentary information. There was a document where PDP scheduled all the activities that will lead up to the primaries, each of them with date. The issue of the news about the postponement, I should say, was from the grapevine. There was no official communication by any department of the headquarters of PDP about a change in date of the primaries. Of course, if the date was changed, we were prepared. If it wasn't, it would have been the same for us. So my answer to that is, I'm not sure. I really can't place it on any documentary evidence that there was a change at any point in time. So asking for the reason, I think wouldn't be there, because there wasn't any. Yes.
Okay. There were another thing our people have been asking me is there were 16 aspirants. Can we please learn how many aspirants actually took part in the PDP primaries that took place yesterday at the Women's Center where you attended? If you're not available, we go back to our Honorable Barrister Ayeka Valentine. Okay, can you unmute yourself? Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you have called me. Sorry, I'm still in Anambra and the network is not fantastic.
Right. Yeah, so, okay, let's just take it this way. What happened at Oka yesterday? Because we learned originally there were 16 aspirants, and suddenly, how many aspirants out of that 16 took part in the primaries that happened where the one you attended?
Well, I think it may not be right to start with the aspirants, and because I can't give you the figure now. The presumption is that all of them attended. But you know, the Supreme Court has consistently held, and incidentally, most of those cases, in fact, all the cases are from Anambra, that is the National Working Committee of the party that conducts primaries. So yesterday, I attended as a delegate, privileged delegate. I attended the primaries of the PDP 2021 gubernatorial primaries in Oka, organized by the National Working Committee of the party, with the incumbent governor of Edo State, who presiding over the primaries. So to that extent, I'm sure if there is any aspirant that failed, refused, or neglected to attend that particular primaries, then it should be the responsibility of the person to explain that. Be that as it may, I would acknowledge that when I got there, I saw the major aspirants. I'm not trying to support the idea there are people who are that some people are pretenders, some people are I don't want to use that word because it's not right. Somebody who spends up to 33 million to be on the ballot can never be called a pretender. But I'm sure you will agree with me that there are people who are considered more serious than others. And I saw virtually all the aspirants there. I saw personally and interacted personally with Honorable Chris Azubok there. I saw Valentine Ozigbo there. I saw Senator Uche there. I saw Dr. Maduka there. I saw Lady Onyamelukwe there. And even party leaders. I saw Dr. Ife Dokunda. How would I forget my own brother? I saw him there. Who again? Of course, I saw Right Honorable Chuma Zeribe there, and a letter sent by Honorable Tony Woye excusing himself from the primaries was read to us, same as the Emeka Tiagba, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. So you could say that almost about 80% of the aspirants were there present.
Okay, Honorable Barrister Aika Valentine, initially there were 3,200 delegates, PDP delegates in Anambra State, who we thought will participate to elect the PDP candidate. Eventually, we now know that only 217 people known as super delegates decided who will carry the PDP flag. Can you enlighten us? How did that come about and why?
Okay, possibly maybe to maybe add to what the last speaker said. The answer to your question, how many of the aspirants attended or participated? I think the question might not be very, very clear because absence of an aspirant at the venue does not mean that an aspirant did not participate. Because primary contest does not require physical presence. Insofar as one has not officially won from the contest, the person is taken to be part of it. Officially, before the commencement of the exercise, we were informed that SAN, Etiaba withdrew, that Tony Moye also decided to discontinue, as well as, what's this other person? There's just 3 people that are officially withdrew, but 2 aspirants were not physically present, Okeke and Ezemo. So all the other aspirants were there. Then coming to your question on issue of the difference, the number. Of course, PDP by section 85 to 87 of the Electoral Act, I think particularly 87, adopted an indirect mode of primary, unlike APC that uses direct method. So based on that, the party can decide on the number of people to use. The 3,000 you spoke about is a combination of the super delegates combined with ad hoc, as well as the statutory delegates. So put together, you have 3,000. But the turning point was we are of from experience, near or far the exercise, decided to dump all the delegates one way or the other that might have been affected by the litigations or judgments or orders, and now opted to use super delegates. And by super delegates, we are talking about those of us who were former members of the National Assembly, former members of the State Assembly. But when you talk about State Assembly, you must be a principal officer to be qualified at the state level. But at the federal level, national, once you are a former member, a serving member, State Assembly also, once you are a serving member, as well as the candidates that flew the flag of the party in 2019 election, whether at the state or at the national level, as well as also members, former chairman of the state, local government, they were the people, this super delegates. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, you have answered the question, but we understand that that decision to have super delegates vote in that election created some rumpus. Before I get back to you, super delegates, let's listen to Sir Augustine Ikedoji. You have had you are a discussant in this program, so you have had the explanation given by Chief Ohaegbu and the Honorable Ayeka. What is your impression with regards to the way PDP dumped the use of those delegates and went for the use of super delegates? How was it received? Sir Augustine Ikedoji. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay. Sorry for joining late. Actually, I was struggling to get to my room, to my hotel room, and then I will join.
That's fine.
Well, the issue on let me attend to your question first before I say my opinion. The issue of dumping the delegate list and using the super delegates as proposed, because as far as I'm concerned, that super delegate was a mere proposal. I was there in person. I snapped a lot of the delegates and I can present their picture evidence. They are not super delegates. They are ordinary people I know that have never even vowed for councillor. In fact, they were never even local government official members. I mean those that made that delegate list. I hope you had Emeka Abasan yesterday, SN. He said that there is a particular delegate that his name was in a Newi list and was also in Anambra West. You heard him. Hello?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Can you hear? Good. You heard him say that. And that person is that person happens to be Daniel Eloba's brother. Okay. So what we are trying to say in essence is that the idea of trying to use the super delegates was not strictly adhered to also. But what is important is that if they had used the ad hoc delegates, I know that the outcome of the election will have been different. Because the dumping of the list have made people like, if you see Tony Nwoye, you read his speech, how he stepped down. The dumping of the list have affected his plan for the election. And he realized that he cannot deal, because the change was sudden. Okay, he could not deal. He has already invested in the other one. He could not deal with this one, and he pulled out. So what I'm trying to say is that VAR's emergence is not unconnected with the change to super delegates. If we are the other delegates that were to contest the election, the result will have been different. Okay, and you must understand that VAR emerged because of power tussle. I hope you know that. There was a power. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Okay, there was a power tussle because I was there all through the night. The truth be told, the ad hoc delegates were actually designed to deliver a candidate. I hope you know. The super delegates were designed and stage managed to deliver a particular person, and that person is Obiora Okonkwo. It was meant for him. The whole thing was working for him. Everybody was working for him until the 11th hour change, where some ad hoc delegates were made to make adjustments, and then Val now had a little edge over him, which is just 4 votes. Ordinarily, Obiora, everybody thought Obiora was winning the election, because even those that were stepping down, and they are not telling us those they were stepping down for. Let me use my friend for example, Comrade Tony Nwoye. Okay, he pulled out of them, but his boys were in the field there, working for Obiora Okonkwo. Do you understand? So everybody was working for Obiora. So vast emergence was nobody was not in the equation. He was not in the equation. So something through something, or and then so whether the constitution, I do not know whether PDP constitution provides for it, because I might be expecting litigations from next week. I do not know whether the constitution provides for it, and if it provides for it, I do not think those that voted were actually the super delegates. Most of them were not. They do not meet the criteria of a super delegate.
Okay, we thank you very much. Of course, because we in the media. Yes, we can hear you. Let's address some of the issues you raised, sir. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, address the issues. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of people were concerned. So I think we would like the super delegates to address some of the issues you have raised here, because it's not just you. I have just shown a letter written by Emeka Etiabasan while withdrawing from the primaries. I can share the letter again. The reason he gave why he withdrew. Emeka Etiaba said he is withdrawing because of 4 reasons. Why? 1, the judgment in suit number so. 2, flurry of lawsuits, 5 for now, which also threaten the current nomination exercise. 3, conduct of primary election with a list of delegates compiled and targeted at achieving a predetermined result. And 4, conduct of a parallel primary election by some members of the party. We also received a press statement from Ifedi, where he also mentioned, even though he later said he turned around for his, we'll come to his reason later on, but let's hear from Chief Obinna Ohaegbu. Are you able to address the concern raised in this letter and raised by Sir Ikedoji?
Okay, I think I will start with saying that these discussions should be on issues that are verifiable. We shouldn't bother or disturb ourselves with the speculations, gossips, and all that. It's not. It's wrong if a national working committee of a party has released a list of the people they considered their super delegates, and you are saying that they are not. We could continue to pretend that we are not aware that PDP was restrained by court from using the existing parallel executives, both ward and even local government and the state. The only option PDP had in that election is not to go for the primaries. And people who were wishing that PDP would have taken that option will not be happy that PDP eventually pulled through what happened yesterday. PDP is in the position to determine who their delegates are. And in all those decisions, even if this election was conducted with the ad hoc and the statutory delegates, the supposed super delegates are usually part and parcel of the delegates. It's just that they said, okay, you are fighting over who is your ward executive. You are having challenges with who is your local government executives. You said you are not comfortable with the state exco. But because of the time, we must have primaries, we must have a candidate. PDP cannot be excluded from Anambra State 2021. It wouldn't have been an election. Nobody will enjoy it. Nobody will be happy that we will go to that election without PDP. Anambra is a PDP state, without PDP having a candidate. So all they did is said, okay, these other delegates successfully challenge that. Hello? Am I still on? Hello? 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 Am I still on? Hello, Daniel.
We're hearing.
Okay, so
I can hear you.
I'm sorry for this, probably because of the privileged information I know I have. That you are from a Dodge, Ikedoji is from a Dodge, and probably is making reference to somebody he knows. That is not the business of PDP. PDP has told you that your brother you know is a super delegate, and you are telling him that telling PDP that is not. That is not correct. People is in fact. If you look at what happened yesterday, I think it was designed by God. Because if somebody, assuming the Congo had won that election, they would say, oh, before then, that he was ordained, the entire thing was planned for him to be the PDP candidate. If you listen to the insinuations made by the senior advocate, he made reference to a boy and Imo, which people are suggesting, I don't know, I'm not sure, I've not confirmed it, that he was making reference to Pius Anyim and the Hedioha, that he was supporting a senator from the Central. She didn't win. So you cannot say, oh, that you said it earlier. That it was so. I think Val is the most acceptable and the best candidate for him, and for PDP delegates have voted for him. What we should be concerned about is what is he going to do for us as in the Anambra. In Anambra, we have 5 local governments without general hospitals. No functional hospitals in Anambra. What is he going to do? PDP must have a candidate, and we have gotten one. Thank you, Daniel. Hello? Hello?
Daniel, no one can hear what you're saying. Dan,
I can't hear you.
No one can hear what you're saying.
I don't think he's even saying anything because his mouth is closed.
So he's saying anything, but he's saying something, but no one can hear him. I think he should check his.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. So I don't know what you did before. You muted yourself, maybe.
Okay, so we thank Mazi Obunike Ohaegbu for the clarification we have had. But my next question is, yes, we know that by law, the court has held that it is within the president of the party to determine who their candidates will be, and the court cannot question that. However, the court has also held that the law will hold you responsible to follow your own procedures. So if the PDP said, these are our super delegates, and the super delegates have elected a candidate, the court cannot say no, like Mazi Ohaegbu said, no, you are not a super delegate, no, this and that. However, the law will ask you, where is the law, the regulations allowing you to decide who your super delegates will be? So my question to Honorable Ayeka will be, is there a rule within the PDP regulations that allows them to do what they did, to sidestep, as Mazi Ohaegbu has explained, some people and say, you are no longer delegates, these are now our super delegates? Where is the law that allows them to do that? Honorable Ayeka, please, can you unmute yourself, sir?
Okay, first of all, let me also, based on what Sir Augustine Ikedoji said, let me just one or two things. Number one, I consider it so trivial, for somebody to start talking about a name appeared in Nnewi and Anambra West. We are humans, we are not a god. We are not, there is no perfect system. A typographic error can bring about that, just a name. Does that worth, making a topic? Again, it is so, I don't know the best adjective to qualify. When somebody will open his mouth to say, if statutory delegates and ad hoc delegates were used, the outcome would have been different. This is akin to playing God. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today we can behold. Yesterday is gone. For me, like the last speaker perfectly and rightly put it, what we should be concerned about today is the process that happened. Why should somebody say that Valentine would have won if the ad hoc and the statutory was used? Is the person telling us that those ad hoc and the statutory were deliberately designed to favor somebody else? How would have the person known the trajectory or the direction, the voting pattern, when it has not happened? Having said that, I completely align myself with the last speaker. Valentine remains the most qualified, the only person, maybe not the only person, but one of those persons that can unite the aspirants, that can take PDP to victory in the coming election. It's as simple as that. Now, coming to your question, on the issue of whether there is a law permitting the use of super delegates. In the last 2010, when the PDP could not, after several trials, could not conduct a primary, and because the issue of election is something that is time-bound, the party, PDP, submitted the name of Soludo because it was almost practically impossible for them to organize a primary. Now, the only difference between ordinary associations and political parties is because they are supervised by INEC, which is an organ recognized by law. Political parties, of course, recognized by the Constitution to the extent that INEC will supervise what they do. If the PDP has all these litigations around it, what is the way out? Is somebody saying that he will not field a candidate in the election? For me, I don't want to say things that will aggravate the peace that Valentine Ozigbo is already initiating. The consultation, the unification is already embarking on trying to make sure that those of his brothers, those of his sisters that lost, that there will be a united front for him to take PDP to victory in the November 2021 election. Let us not delve into those things that divide us. I prefer we concentrate and channel our energy on those things that will unite us. Because only united we can stand, divided surely will fall. And for PDP to win this election, we shouldn't be discussing issues like this. We should be discussing what are those things that we need to do for us to be victorious on that day.
All right. I thank you very much. Before we go back to Sir Augustine Ikedoji, Ohaegbu, do you have something else to say on this point, whether there is a law? Okay, I'm looking at something now because I have a list of the super delegates with me. There is a document issued by the People's Democratic Party, Wadata Plaza, giving the list of super delegates from a local government, and it referred to automatic delegate section 25(1), section 25, subsection 1, A to K. I'm not a member of PDP, so I don't know what this provision says. If Master Ohaegbu can help us to tell us what it says and then maybe make a comment on the issue I raised, whether there is a PDP regulation that allowed them to do what they did, and then we move on. Master Ohaegbu, can you please unmute yourselves?
Yeah, you heard what the Honorable Aika said. In 2010, we relied, unfortunately, I'm on the road. In 2010, we relied on the same provision to submit a candidate. As a matter of fact, in 2010, we were all at the International Conference Center when we couldn't, because of litigations. We were all asked to come to Abuja. We went to Abuja. We were at the International Conference Center, supposedly to nominate a candidate. And because of the challenges they were having at the International Conference Center, the National Working Committee of PDP, because of the exigency of the time, submitted Professor Chukwuma Soludo as the candidate of the party. Nobody voted for him for the primaries, and he contested for the election. So we shouldn't bother ourselves whether what we did was right or wrong. The party did what they are supposed to do and they are powered to do. If you read that letter, the party made specific reference to the laws that allow the National Working Committee to stick to that. And that has been done. And for us in PDP, we are not bothered about who would have won, who didn't win. The most important thing for us is to see how we work together to rescue Anambra. The delegates have voted. Unfortunately, so sad that some delegates were excluded because of the litigations. And those delegates know, I interact with a lot of them, they know why they were excluded. They know who and who contributed to their exclusion. And they know that they are not any of the aspirants. And they're not going to hold it against any of the aspirants. And as we speak, over 45% of the aspirants have congratulated the candidate. And before 12 midnight, more will do so. So PDP has never been united as we are, as we speak today. We are very, very united and we are focused. We have got a candidate. We are not bothered about who would have won. We are only concerned about how to win the election, how to market our candidate, how to let the Anambra State know what is the difference between PDP and other political parties. They are only having their crisis. I'm sure you heard what happened in APC yesterday. Everybody in APC said there was no election. It was direct primaries. People in the village said there was no election in the wards. Their state leaders are saying there was no election. Aspirants are saying there was no election. No PDP aspirant so far has said there was the election that was conducted yesterday at the Dorakiru Development Center was not free and fair. Nobody has said so. No aspirant, as we speak now, no aspirant has said that it was shortchanged. No aspirant has complained. Even in that hall, this one they said the list was designed for this person or designed for A or designed for B. The entire aspirants that sat there, nobody objected. They all approached us, spoke to us, and they went and did secret ballot and voted for the candidate of our choice.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Sir Augustine Ikedoji, do we foresee a problem? Do we foresee problems because of what happened yesterday? Or do you agree that everything is now settled, Valentine is now making peace moves, and then all will be Uhuru going forward?
Well, I must chip in something first before I respond to your question.
Okay.
The comment I made about name appearing twice in a list is an extraction from AIC, the comment of MKT about 8 a.m. I didn't see it. In fact, I was there. I saw the person he was referring to, and I am not aware of the name appearing twice or whatever it is. But I just mentioned it. It's not in any way trying to say that the PDP, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
It's not in any way trying to say to question the decision of the party. Because you must understand that while sometimes any political party tries to do a free and fair and credible election is to be able to carry other aspirants along after a winner must have emerged. You get it? Every party going by the Supreme Court ruling has the right to just pick any of the aspirants and say that this is a person that will fly in this party. But sometimes when you create room for the contest in the primary, is so that other aspirants might like to, after they must have lost out, they might like to help to push forward. But the other time you are having this, remember I scored him 9, and I told you that there is only one factor that is an inhibiting factor. I don't know whether you recall that day. I scored him 9. You said it was high, and I told you that there is only one factor. The factor is that he is not a core PDP person. And now that he has emerged, that one factor is coming into play. He might carry this aspirants along. I don't know who is informing my brother Obum that 45% of the aspirants have joined and others are still joining. I don't know whether it's the same aspirant I'm talking to he is talking to. Because as I'm saying now, I just left the room of one of them. Okay, I don't know whether it's the aspirant I'm talking about he's talking about. But we must tell ourselves the truth. Valentine might have problem of the mainstream guys trying to keep behind him. He might require a lot of management skills, not board politics. This is not boardroom politics now. He is about to go into the core politics. Because the problem of Valentine is not going to go to the field to win the election. If Valentine is able to handle the issue of these aspirants in all sincerity coming to back him, then there is no contest in Anambra State. If he can, underline my word, if he can get all these aspirants to come and rally around him, then there is no any contest going on in Anambra State. The election is as good as over. But as I'm talking to you now, though I tried to call him, I didn't get him on phone, I got an information that he has jumped over to SDP. This is the same medical I was watching in the field and you hugged Valentine, and I learned, but I want to verify directly from you. Okay? So Valentine, the emergence of Valentine solves a lot of problems. We wouldn't have been holding this program now. If it were the other person that emerged, it is over, PDP is over, PDP is out. So I'm not trying to say that Valentine is the best out of all of them. I cannot say that. I will feel it's a slight on other people. But I can only say that the emergence of Valentine have solved a lot of problems that will have cropped out of these primaries and reduce PDP to what it used to be. But if Valentine has emerged, now the problem is the machinery. Whom is he going to deploy to make sure that he is holding this aspirant? That is the biggest challenge before him. Okay, well, the issue of contested, this was before they participated. I was there, and not as a PDP person. I was there as a media person, and I talked to one or two of them. Okay, I had their posts before the primaries. That is why I said, in as much as their venom was targeted on somebody that Providence pulled down, and now Valentine emerged. Valentine may require a lot of energy to get these aspirants to work with him. In fact, he should forget about going for campaign. He should go and look for whom or through whom to get these aspirants to come down and join his trade. That is the highest campaign he can do so far. And if he's able to do that, I will tell you the sky is his starting point. So far, so good. At least Valentine has no issue with anybody on the field. When I mean anybody, I mean the ordinary person on the street that is not a politician. He will not have issue voting Valentine. He has nothing against him. Okay? It's unlike the other candidate who has been overflogged. Any other candidate in this election has been overflogged. And is having one issue or the other.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, I thank you very much for bringing these points out. The next thing we will now consider is, let's not dwell so much on these issues, even though there are at least two outstanding issues we would like to come back later on. But let me ask the question, part of the topic of this discussion: why was Valentine able to overcome and win this election? I was reading the press statement from Ife Dokwenna, one of the aspirants, And he made this comment. And then after they did it, I would like to know whether our guests agree with what he said. Ikedoji said he wasn't happy that 3,200 delegates was eventually whittled down to 217 super delegates. And then he said this disenfranchised a great number of the party members from voting. That is number one of his grounds. Number two grounds, that the final list of these super delegates was not fully known until the aspirants were at the venue. And so they didn't know who to campaign to. So only those who have the list will be able to reach the delegates. So he wasn't happy about that. But then Ikedoji said, well, seeing that he cannot do anything about it, and seeing that the election is there to hold, and that being a good party man, he decided to play along. But then what they did was that, as a strong advocate for shifting power to the South, I joined forces with my colleagues to achieve this with one of us whose chances were brighter. And he said he thanked God that PDP candidate has gone to Anambra South, thereby uniting PDP and providing them with better opportunities to win the November 6th governorship election. Can we say that it was this Anambra South factor that allowed Valentine to clinch the election? Honorable Barrister Aika Valentine, can you help us here? Because we will now consider the impact it will have in November election.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I can see I've muted myself. Now, you raised two issues. I think I missed one due to network issue, but the one I got is, Ikedoji, you said, Dr. Okwenna raised the issue of disenfranchisement of some of the statutory delegates.
Yeah, 3,200, from 3,200 to now 217. So more than, yes.
By the reduction in number, yes. The point is this. This has been, for it not to be overflowed.
Yes, that's what I said. Let's overlook it, but yeah.
You read an article, you read part of the PDP constitution, which has it that, law is about creating a workable environment. Of course, PDP and other political parties must have envisioned that there could be a situation where it will be impossible to
I'm not trying to interrupt you, but we have solved this matter. Hello? But Honorable, I agree with you that we should not overflow this matter. I only refer this to build a background to what I want to say. If you please address us to this fact as to what allowed Valentine to win this election. How was he able to do it? Yes.
Okay. Now, number one, I'm an Anambra man.
Yes.
And Anambra people, politics they say is local. Anambra man does not want somebody who cannot relate with him at his level, whether high or low. Valentine understudied the lifestyle of Anambra people, adopted a strategy that appealed to the people. You talk about being humble, you talk about being accessible, you talk about his pedigree and antecedents, you talk about his academic qualifications. I think these are the things put together that endeared him to Anambra people, especially considering the fact that the people that actually constituted the bulk of these delegates are people of substance, with all due respect to every other person, are people who considered substance, not material gift.
All right. You are a delegate to that election. Who did you vote for, Honorable? Has he left? Okay, I think, when he has problem, he mute himself. Can you unmute yourself again?
No, I'm okay now.
Okay, who did you vote for in that election?
So who I voted for?
Yeah.
Of course, I voted for Valentine.
Is it because you know he will win or because he's your man?
No, because he's my man, because of his these qualities I've listed. Then again, let me say something. On the issue of zoning, let me also say, zoning, of course, contributed to some extent to the reasons why Valentine won. People in Anambra, anybody who is futuristic in his perception, in his analysis, would have known that anybody PDP will field that is not from the South, it will be an uphill task for PDP to win that election. If you cast our mind back to 2017, the Africa campaign then was, give us another 4 years. Let us finish our 8 years. Power will return to South. And Africa haven't chosen Soludo as their flag bearer. Should PDP do otherwise, all that Africa will do will be, we promised you in 2021, we're going to give power to you. The South, we are now having a flag bearer from here. Not, we say, we begged in 2017, you agreed with us, now we will reciprocate.
All right. Are you still there? Okay, Honorable, it appears your network is having issues. We will start taking questions in a few minutes. Let me also allow Ohaegbu to comment on this. Okay, let me first confirm that Barrister has finished. You know, sometimes network plays a game. Honorable, have you finished your presentation?
No, in a nutshell, summary, yes. I'm saying zoning contributed to why Valentine won the primary.
All right, well, thank you. Ohaegbu, can you tell us why was Valentine Ozigbo able to clinch this nomination? Are you still available to?
Yeah.
I think his network is bad. He's on transit.
Network is bad.
Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
His network is bad.
Cabo.
On transit.
It's now sounding like I drop your name.
It's okay. We have muted you. How is he able to? Let's allow you to recover your network before we come back to you. If I can, let us go to Ikedoji, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Let's allow your network to come back. Let's go to Sir Augustine Ikedoji. Ike, in your opinion, what enabled upon all the political juggernauts you have in that contest? We have a Punife, a veteran. We have Obinna Okafor, who everybody was like also acknowledged. Even I spoke to some people at the primary yesterday, who is likely to be, many of them were telling me, nah, Dan is likely to be Obinna Okafor. This thing is escaping from Anambra South. But eventually. So what do you think enabled Valentine to clinch that nomination?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the mathematics is very straight. Okay? As I said earlier, the leadership we are seeking for, the first factor is that the leadership we are seeking for somebody from Central. Okay? That created sentiment among other persons. No matter how they try to force him down, it created a little sentiment that they were able to weather the storm was already going. You know, then contender that was very strong.
No, this network is not clear at all.
Do you understand it? So that if you eliminate that factor and have grassroots support from South, okay, can you hear me?
Your network is, we can hear you, but it's not, we can hear you, but it's not smooth at all.
Can I put my earpiece?
You can. Let's allow somebody else while you connect to another network.
Can
if
you
that's
hear
what
me
you
now?
want. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very clearly now, yes.
Okay, I said that the leadership were sitting for somebody from Central. And
yes.
then another strong contender happens to come from Central, which is Obunike. Okay? So now, leaving the with two very strong candidates, Chris Ozigbo and Valentine Ozigbo. Of course, Godwin Maddock. We are left with the option of Chris Ozigbo. Valentine Ozigbo has an advantage over Chris Ozigbo, whether you say it or not. The advantage he has over Chris Ozigbo is the first factor in Anambra politics, which is church. He's a Catholic. Okay? Take it anywhere. The greatest advantage Valentine shares over these guys from South is that he is a Catholic among the PDP contestants. And then, though Dr. Maduka, of course, but Dr. Maduka appeared to be a bit rattled yesterday because I was outside. He was busy coming out and going inside. I later learned he was looking for his money. I don't know how true is that. Okay? So if truly he lost the money they said he lost, $450,000, it's enough to put him out of the contest. Okay? So Valentine has the church factor working for him. And I saw small negotiation that they came out and did. Let me not drop name. I saw a small 11-hour negotiation. That is clearly the signature of P2B. I'm not objecting. That is clearly the signature of P2B. But I think the choice of Valentine, for now, given the prevailing circumstances, is the best. But when you are talking about why he emerged, please do not bury the church factor. I see church factor as key. I address Anambra politics as it is. Church factor is one of the major key. It didn't create difficulty for him. That is it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Let's now take questions or yeah, we can hear you. Thank you very much. Let's now take questions or comments from Mazes, okay, please, of Njenje Media. Can you unmute yourself and then we go down to other people that have raised their hands. If you have any question, please indicate by raising up your hand using your device. Mazes, okay.
Good evening, everyone. I think to the discussion, I believe it will be fair to say that in the larger scale of things, that competence is one of the main reasons why Valentine Ozigbo emerged. And I had already told someone before now that for some reasons I'm excited regarding the caliber of people that Anambra has been able to produce within the primaries, if we do not damage it by ourselves. You know, looking at the two people that have emerged from these parties, very, very capable, very capable hands, in the person of Soludo and in the person of Valentine Ozigbo, which means that if Anambra gets it right, and thank God that God used P2B to thwart the electoral cycle, putting Anambra State ahead of other states within the Southeast. I look at the candidacy as a greater stepping stone for the great Igbo nation, where if we get it right, I see other states come 2023, if there is going to be any election, now queuing in and getting it right as well. Now, yes, the church plays a role in Anambra politics. I mean, anybody denying that is not being truthful. But aside competence, I think the zoning that has come to stay, if eventually the next governor emerges from Anambra State, from South, it's, in my estimation, it will cement and reduces tension, because you can imagine even only PDP alone. Honestly, 90% of the candidates that came out for this election are equal to the task. You can see how loaded they were, and talk less of APGA and other political parties. So it's gratifying that somehow we've been able to, or rather we are managing sifting down, or rather sifting away cucumbers and carrots, getting to the real deal, where people who are accomplished, like we can point back and say, okay, this is what Mr. A has done here, this is what Mr. B has done here, or Miss B, as the case may be, before I am accused of not being gender sensitive. So zone obviously has something to do with it. Now, but I have a question which I think I would have hoped that one of the chief discussants is still here, Aika. Oh, I think, okay, thank God he's still there, Barrister Aika, who is the super delegate. Or did I mention his name and he left?
No, he's here, but okay. He's here.
Barrister Aika, I will direct this question to you. I was having an argument with someone this morning on where competence plays a role. And it appears, in my naivety now, a caveat here, mine, that we are moving away from the Congress of money sharing, where people could actually come in without probably collecting anything and vote their candidate, and their conscience. Sadly, I was made to understand that money exchanged hands. And I was made to understand also that it was in dollars. I know we are on a world stage, but could you kindly tell us if this assertion is true? And if it's true, how much was paid? I don't know. I'm not saying people were paid, but if this assertion is there and this in the public domain, I think it ought to be addressed. Thank you very much.
All right, Honorable Ayeka, I can now unmute you. Can we see him? Can you help me unmute him if you see him, please? I'm searching for him again. I don't see him again now.
I can't even see him as well.
Has he left? Okay, let me see. Ayeka.
He's not here.
He's left. What happened?
I hope not my question.
Your question sent in packet. All right, if he's not here, let's us. One of our discussants have just joined. Let's bear this your question in mind. Okay, I wanted Mazi Obinnna Okafor to be. He's well placed to discuss about the parallel Congress that took place at St. Paul's. Okay, Mazi Obinnna Okafor, please. Are you able to enlighten us exactly why there was a parallel Congress that elected Senator Guber and what impact it will have on PDP going forward? OCN, please.
Okay, Daniel, thank you very much. I'm so sorry I came late.
No, it's my mistake because I initially said 9 and then I changed 12. So I changed to 7. So that's okay. Go ahead.
Exactly. Okay. It's unfortunate that we had parallel primaries in Anambra, which a lot of people and ILF that you also are aware tried to to make sure that it never happened. But like the Bible told us, all things happen for good. The Chief Chris Oba-led faction insisted that the NWC faction was already hijacked by some candidates, but some aspirants from the central. And then Chief Chris Oba-led faction said no, that the next candidate of the party must come from Anambra South. So when they got the court judgment, naturally a lot of things went behind scene, negotiations here and there, and part of the request or demand was that there was zoning agreement in Anambra, regardless that it was not written. So if they must participate in this election, PDP must participate in this election, it has to be a candidate from the Anambra South senatorial zone. So that's the political undertone that led to him having his own parallel primaries. But I can assure you that since the gentleman, Mr. Valentine Ozigbo, has emerged as a candidate of the party from this other faction, I can assure you that we are going to have a political solution to this, and PDP will not have that crisis of going to court before the main election. If the political demand is that power must move to South, and the two candidates are now from South, we will have to resolve it. I can confidently tell you that there will be no much consequences, no much damage by the parallel primaries conducted in Anambra yesterday. I'm very certain of that. Thank you.
So in other words, you are agreeing with Sir Ikedoji, who is of the opinion that the election of Mr. Valentine Ozigbo has kind of solved a lot of problems for PDP, which would not have been the case if the Congress held yesterday threw up either Uche Kunife or Obiora Okonkwo. You are aligning yourself with that position.
Yes. When Valentine was when he was announced the winner, in an emotional state, I said, "This is the bridge." And the people that I was with said, "What do you mean by bridge?" I said, "This is the bridge that will resolve all the problems in Anambra." Let me take us a little back. Because I heard when Njenje was asking about money exchanging hands and all that. Though I'm not going to go deep into that. But the problem in that election yesterday was it was a war between the older generation and the younger generation. The older generation, they were the ones pushing for Obiora Okonkwo, pushing for Uche Kunife, and the younger generation who has this the majority of the vote, who goes to field to campaign, who are the ones that comes out on the election day to participate in the election proper in the field, said no. The two people you are projecting are not from Anambra South. So they moved their votes in block. They had two candidates in mind. It was Chris Azubog or Valentine Ozigbo. I can assure you that it was not a church politics, because I heard where somebody said church politics. It was not a church politics. Personally, I was involved in a lot of negotiations that went behind the scene to ensure that the election was okay yesterday. So the younger generation moved their vote to Valentine Ozigbo, and with that victory, he has solved the zoning issues. He has solved the issues between the older and the younger generation. And this is a young man coming with less or little baggage politically. So I'm agreeing with you that his victory has solved a lot of political issues in PDP, and we believe that that's also going to solve the bigger problem in Anambra State when he becomes the governor-elect by November 6th this year.
All right, let's hear from Aloy Nwobo, please. Can you unmute yourself? Mr. Nwobo, can you unmute yourself, please? All right, Atuchukwu Chode, please. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Can you unmute yourself, sir? You unmuted yourself and then get muted again. What happened?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, very well. I want to align myself with what OCN just said. It was a battle between the older and younger generation. I was in the field, I was a delegate, and from the looks of things, if you are in the field and looking around, you'll be seeing the negotiations, the standings, the threes, the twos, and it was very glaring that things have moved. Maybe when people were outside the gates, when the first accreditation was going on, you would notice it would be like a battle. It was like a battle between Obiora Okonkwo and Chris Asborg. But when the second accreditation was going on, we now noticed that what was happening was no longer Obiora Okonkwo and Chris Asborg, but it was now a fight between the Central and the South. And most of the people that were with Chris, automatically, they were even begging Chris to step down. I was watching. People that he felt were his friends, that were going to give him the vote to win. We are in the field begging him to please step down, let's do this and do that. So I think the younger generation played a huge role in ensuring Valentine came up. And like Ocean also said, Valentine has less or no baggage at all in the political scene of Anambra State. And as a newbie, and it will also be a bridge too. And I think everybody, you can see now, this is the first time PDP is having an election, a primary election, and you're seeing congratulatory messages everywhere. Where have you seen that before? What you see is got one thing and the other. But here you're seeing congratulatory message from Iyom, Ekunife, messages from almost everybody. Okay? So I think...
Yeah, but I know that Obiora Okonkwo is yet to send a congratulatory message to Valentine.
Obiora Okonkwo actually fought a good fight there. He fought a wonderful fight. It was his game. It was his game. He was tops. If you look at the result, you see it. He was tops. Yeah. But talking about congratulations, I don't think I've seen his. I don't think I've been sleeping. I've been sleeping. It was when you miss 2 nights of sleep. So all through this, from this morning till now, I've been sleeping. So I've not really looked around. So, but I think it's either he has his own plans, or in due time he will also do same. I saw the pictures where they were hugging themselves, and you don't tell me that hug is just a mere cosmetic hug. So okay. I think PDP this time will get it right in Anambra.
I will come back to you, but OC, and you want to say something before I go back to
yes, that's about the congratulatory message you talked about, Obiora Okonkwo. You see, for me, I am abreast with a lot of things going on in the party. One can tell you congratulations and actually meant it from his or her heart that he has given up and supporting you. One might not say that, and from in the person's heart, he has congratulated you. My point is, those things are inconsequential at this moment, very inconsequential at this moment. we had an election. Going into that election, like Atiku said, it was more of this Azobogo and Obiora. It was more of personal. But when they got into the field, it become more of zone. Which zone will produce this? Which zone will produce this? And they said it has to be South. A lot of negotiations went on, and that block vote moved to this person. So that congratulation message, it's very inconsequential. We had a transparent, free, fair, and credible election yesterday. Nobody can challenge it anywhere. The appeal court is coming, the appeal panel is coming. Anybody who wants to go to appeal can go to appeal. Election was done, the proper delegates voted and voted their mind. Talking about money, who would you influence? BOT members, former this, former that. Everybody tried to lobby. But at the end of the day, these are the core stakeholders of the party that voted in that primaries, and they voted their mind. So that will be that's inconsequential, thinking of who has congratulated, who has not congratulated. Mr. Valentine Ozigbo won an election and won squarely.
Right. Thank you very much. Mazi Atuchukwu, let's come back to you. That question posed by, even though you are a delegate to that primary election we had yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you have to say about what Njenje Media, Mazi Ozigbo, wanted to ask about money changing hands? Do you want anything to say on that?
Yes, I have a lot to say on that. Now, money changed hands, actually. Now, anybody that say money did not change hands, right? But even if Val gave money, was it the highest? Was it the person that gave the highest money there? There are people that spent thousands of dollars there and didn't even get up to 10 votes. Yeah, there are people that spent a lot of money, hell of money there, and didn't get up to 10 votes. So it was not a money thing. Who will you give money? There are a lot of candidates, there are aspirants that brought money to me that I said I don't even want your money because I'm not going to vote you. So what will you now try to say money played a role? Money didn't play a role. In my own, from what I saw there, it was just a battle between the central and the south. It was just a battle between this is what is meant to be, that the power should go to the south, and people that are saying it should go to the central. That was what played out. It's not really a money thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, it means money wasn't the deciding factor, but
money wasn't the deciding factor.
And money was taken.
If money was the deciding factor, I'll tell you point blank that Maduka will have stolen the day. If money was actually the deciding factor, the day would have gone to Maduka Obiora. Money was not the deciding factor. You know,
but it was given and it was taken.
He has already said it. Like, what do you
want me to say it again? How do you want me to say it? Or should I start giving names of people that took and people that that's the private information. If you want it, then we'll negotiate about it. I know I'm working for you. Yes, now.
All right, let's. Are you now ready to, Mr. Mobu? Are you able to unmute yourself? Are you still there? We're happy to have Augustine Ikedoji with us.
Yeah, sir. This is Augustine Ikedoji, the coordinator of Val Ozigbo Support Group UK and Diaspora. In as much as I do agree with the two last speakers, in politics, there is nowhere you play politics without money. And there is nowhere you lobby in politics without money. But one good thing I have come to realize from what PDP did here was to play with strong ideological logics by following the court rulings to reduce the number of delegates in order to adjudge the implications of litigations from members who may feel disenfranchised from the exercise of the elections. And secondly, also to reduce the money politics at its extreme in Anambra State. and to also manage the cost for those who are contesting the primary elections. I think most of these things is a learning curve in the way we tend to play politics in the new era. Super delegates will help to reduce the unnecessary money-backed politics we play in our local politics. Because in as much as some people said somebody lost $400 and something thousand or whatever, which I think is just a media hype, I'm not sure that about 75% of those delegates are not very poor people that will be begging for money to vote. I'm sure about 75% of the delegates there are well contented to vote by their conscience and by the belief of what they are there to do. And as such, could not be bought over with so much money, irrespective of the fact that money plays a key game. I think Val, like everybody have said, has come as a game changer in the way politics is played in Anambra State and in the Southeast as a whole. The new breed from the new block of the political lineage in our Southeast politics. And I believe that this is going to be a very big lesson and a very decisive role plan for Ndi Igbo for 2023 in Imo, in Enugu, in Ebonyi, in Abia, as everyone looks at Anambra today and November. Every other state in the Southeast will begin to adjudge the way they play their politics from the old block to the new block, the mix of the two, in order to have a new blood and a new inspiration and aspiration in the Southeast politics. I think Val is going to play a vital role in bridging the block between the way our Southeastern politicians play politics at the national level too. Because our problem in Southeast is we are too introverts in the way we play national politics in Nigeria. And we need a politician or an emerging politician that will begin to emerge right outside from the Southeast into the national aspiration of Nigerian politics. And
thank you.
Val will do a lot in that area if he eventually emerge as the governor of Anambra State come November 6th, 2021, which is going to be, because a lot of youth are behind him and the youths believe in him. And also the working class are also very, very confident about his potentials to run Anambra as a better state.
Right. Thank you. Mazitango Ugochukwu, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, question coupled with comment. I always do.
Go ahead.
It sounds very honest. When I was hearing no money, I hearing money that passed through. Okay, my question now is the one to answer my question. I see him very clear. If PDP didn't solve their fashion problem, now they're having fashion. If other fashion didn't come to compromise with the present fashion, and the INEC disqualified them, what would they do? One question. Val, the winner of their side, I want to ask you, is Val a freelance or someone with Godfather? I was very interested.
So is Val what? I didn't get that.
A freelance candidate.
Freelance candidate. Okay.
Free.
Okay, free candidate without any Godfather or something like that.
Not any Godfather, because I'm very happy to be backing him, standing with him. And I remember after Peter Obi supported Obiano, how everything ended up. So let Muchubi answer this question for me.
All right, the two guests have, I cannot see them here. So I think the next most competent person to respond to this issue here would be, and Ikedoji has also dropped. Obinna Okafor, are you able to respond? Only Obinna Okafor is our discussant who is still here. Maybe others will join. Obinna Okafor, please.
Okay, what was he? Did he ask if, I think what I heard was if Val is a candidate without Godfather?
Yes, but there was another one that piqued my interest before this one. Thank God, there is one first thing you said before the issue of Godfather.
I said on Monday.
Okay, can I have that, please? Because I didn't know it was directed to me.
You can take the question because I want a candidate to answer the question. People have made it clear that really money party, money that they say. I know, but you don't pay for that money. Yeah. And my real question is that now you have two factions. One faction.
Yeah, the two factions. Yeah. The problem of the two factions, and you can address that. Then the issue of money, whether it's as a Godfather. But the equation of the faction is more germane. Can you address that?
Yes. Can I continue?
Yes, you are talking about faction, isn't it?
Yes, faction. If they fail to solve the problem.
Yes, what will happen?
What will happen?
Ocean, did you get the question?
No, I'm still having.
You were very optimistic because yesterday there were two primary elections. And last night, someone said you should not underestimate what Chris Oba can do. Chris Oba had a primary that brought up his brother, Guber, as the candidate. You sounded so optimistic that now that Val is the candidate of the other majority faction, that Chris Oba and Co will pipe low and support him. My brother Tango is now asking, suppose that didn't happen. Suppose the faction led by Chris Oba, Guber, and their own people did not come around to your optimistic position. What will happen?
We are all human. None of us is God to know what exactly that would happen tomorrow. A typical example was people canvassing for votes yesterday, and like they said, money exchange hands, and one of the biggest, the person that shared the biggest money actually got less than 10 votes. I'm sure the person was coming into the field with very optimistic that he was going to be the winner. That's, by the way, I just made that point to say that we are not God to know what exactly that will happen tomorrow. But with what I know, with the negotiations that went on from the time Chris Oba got his judgment until yesterday that they had the primaries, I can tell you confidently that with Val's emergence as the candidate, there will be stability in the party. But the question, assuming that does not happen, what do we do? I can assure you that that will happen. So there's no assumption here. If that doesn't happen, what happens? I can assure you that that will happen because I know there are demands before the primaries yesterday, and I can assure you that that demand has been met, and everybody is going to drop his or her case in the court. Then the second one does Val Ozigbo, does he have any Godfather? To the best of my knowledge, the election yesterday was between the older generation and the younger generation. So if he has any Godfather, I am not aware of that because I know that the man that is supposed to be the leader of the party in the state was against him. Regardless that a lot of people thought that he was the one that finally asked people to vote for him, I can tell you that he was against him because he was campaigning for another candidate, another aspirant in the hall yesterday. So, to the best of my knowledge, if VAL has any godfather, the godfather should be the younger generation leaders and not the older generation leaders as people thought. So, Mr. Tango Oguchu, I don't know if that has answered your question.
Okay, I've only asked about whether you have godfather, whether old or young. Is VAL free candidate? My question. Because I know what we have passed through in Anambra State. That's why I asked this question. Hello?
You are saying that you know what who have passed through.
What Anambra have passed through.
Okay.
Yeah. What Anambra State have passed through in the election. Because the back will not be pushed over. The push over will not be pushed over. We remember history. So remember the result of the game today. So all those things are memory in our mind. So if the game continues, if they didn't find conclusion, I know it will be hot.
All right. Let's allow other people. Will soon be coming to an end. Sochima and Mazi Estemokoye, please, and Mr. Mobo. I've asked you before to unmute yourself, so let's listen to Mazi Okoye this time.
Oh, thank you, Dan. I think I should start by commending the PDP for negotiating their problems away in so short space of time. Because last week, the problem they were going through seems almost insoluble, but they have managed to sort of, negotiate it away. And then we now have a unifying candidate, which is a commendable thing on their part. On the other side, I think I understand why some people might feel that the process wasn't fair, that the process was a hogwash. I know it's a party sort of politics. However, people must try to be fair when it comes to elections and, when people are involved. So, because the way I see it is that the rules was changed in the middle of the game, whereby some candidate now become disenfranchised in the process, which in a way is not totally fair. However, is an internal party deliberation. Thank God that we have other parties in Anambra State, not just PDP, so that we wouldn't have party super delegate voting for Anambra State people. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, we thank you, Mazi. Mr. Mobo, are you not able to unmute yourself and then Sochima follow suit? Mazi Aloy Mobo. Okay, Sochima, please, can we hear from you? Mr. Mobo, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, all. I've been following since 7 o'clock. I want to make a comment concerning this recent PDP primary held yesterday. And I must say that PDP had the most freest primaries in Anambra State. It's very, very wonderful. VCO Valentine Ozigbo came out victoriously, and I'm not surprised because he's a core gentleman who I believe will unify the party. Any other candidate apart from him, there would have been problems in every quarter. And him being the person that knows the game and somebody that knows what he really wants, since 2020, he came down, he was reaching out both to the rich, the poor, the middle class, having exercises, workouts, familiarizing with the people, and all these things endeared him. So Italy, church politics, or this, like some other person said, that made him win. People love him. Even PDP, even if PDP used those 3,000 delegates, he would have won. I believe so. He would have won because I used to associate with them. I used to dialogue with them, and I found out that he is a gentleman that people love with all their heart. In as much as people tend to use money to intimidate candidates, but within me, I know he will come out victoriously. And I congratulate him so much. But one thing I really want to say now is I've seen people congratulating, I see Uche congratulating and saying that he worked out with him to see PDP wins. I'm so happy. Likewise, some other candidates, aspirants. But my worries is that I will kind of give it as an advice to Valentine Ozigbo. People like Tony Nwoye, who is grassrooted, I think his silence is not encouraging. And I believe the best thing he can do as that man we believe that can unify the party is to see ways he can actually work out with him. People like him, Stella can't do it alone in the North, including reaching out to Obiora Okonkwo will help a lot. PDP wouldn't have get it better without VCO, and I believe he's the right candidate. He has no godfather. This is no church politics. He's been loved by all, and Providence made it to be so. And I believe with him, PDP will win the state by November 6th. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Mazi Obinna Okafor, that was a question I asked the previous our previous guests before they left. Are you able to shed light on this provision in the PDP Constitution, Section 25, subsection 1A to B? In other words, was there a provision in the PDP Constitution that allows the National Working Committee to midway disenfranchise the 2,200 who would have been delegates to limit it to these super delegates? Was there a provision in the PDP Constitution that allowed them to do that, that someone will not use to go to court to stop the process?
You know, that's an interesting question, and then the major concern a lot of us had before the primaries. You see, because of Chief Chris Oba's judgments, his demands, the compromised NWC, and the difficulty in meeting his demands, which a lot of us believe was genuine. What PDP did, like I said, and I repeat myself, Val's tickets, Val's emergence as the party candidate will solve a lot of problems. Because what PDP did actually is enough to nullify this primary. Is there a part of the Constitution that gave them power to do that? The first thing is a state congress. And if you go to the Constitution of the party, it says the functions of the state congress where they sit down to approve the funding, do budgets and all that, where they meet to elect state escorts of the party, where they sit to elect gubernatorial candidate for the party. Now, who are these eligible people that vote in the state congress? You have the ward executive, you have the 5-man from the ward, you have the ad hoc, you have the local government, you have the state executive officers of the party. So in solving that problem, when Chief Chris Oba got that judgment, the first option PDP looked at was, let's do away with this executive, both NWC executive and Chief Chris Oba sponsored executive. Let's do away with them and use only the ad hoc delegates and election. That was the first option they had. Now, in that, the entire delegates was going to be about 3,200. But when you take away only the executive to use just the super delegate and the 3-man ad hoc, you have probably about 1,200. And then again, the Constitution says that quorum in the state congress must be 2/3 majority of the number of delegates. So PDP, we needed about 2,000 delegates for us to have now. They looked at the second option, which was, okay, let's see how we can balance this. Let's take some, maybe the ward executive from Chris Oba's faction and take the 3-man delegate from Nwobu's faction. But there's a legal issue in that constitution, in the guideline, which says that before the commencement of the Congress, that the ward secretary will close this ward register and mark it closed. So what that says is that the ward secretary must have a statutory function minutes before the Congress. Now remember that court had already sacked this ward secretary hours before the Congress, eve of that Congress. So that was going to be another issue, because that made the Congress a nullity, because the ward secretary that performed that duty had no legal right to perform that duty at that point. So they now threw away the idea of using either the delegates, the executive, or the ad hoc. Now, in their wisdom, remember that they need 2/3 majority. So they created a situation where, because of the court judgment, the 3-man ad hoc is now a nullity, because the man that performed this duty shouldn't have performed that. The secretary, the ward secretary that closed the register and wrote close, shouldn't have done that, because the court had already sacked him. So that nullified the 3-man ad hoc. So they made away with that and suspended or sacked the both executive, which I can assure you that in a couple of days it will be sorted out. But they suspended the state executive to pave way for them to use these few persons, less than 300 persons that are the super delegates. Constitutionally, yes, a section of the Constitution allows NWC to sack with approval from NEC of the party. NWC cannot arbitrarily sack. They must get approval from NEC of the party, which they claimed, they said that they had a virtual meeting, a virtual emergency NEC meeting that gave them approval to sack the 2 executives, to pave way to use only the automatic delegates. to conduct the primaries. Constitutionally, are they right? Yes. Let me repeat myself. If Valentine Ozigbo or if any of the two candidates, two aspirants from the South did not emerge in yesterday's primaries, there will be more legal issue going into this issue of delegates. Who was omitted, who was added. But with the person that has emerged as a candidate of the party, everything, and I can assure you, everything will be resolved politically and not legally. If we go into if we try to find legal solution in this, we'll lose the election. So we are going to find political solution, and I can assure you that we'll get that.
Well, thank you very much.
If I have answered your question.
Yes, yes. Yeah, this your explanation cleared a lot of questions I had before you came in, even though the previous guests tried to answer them to an extent. But I think the attitude was like, oh, it's okay, we'll sort it out. But at least you gave an explanation to the nitty-gritty of the reasoning behind the actions of the National Working Committee. What remains to be seen is whether the rest of the aspirants will buy it. As we can see now, Tony Nwe has also congratulated Valentine Ozigbo. So, but it now remains, I have not seen Ozigbo's congratulatory message. I have not seen Obiora Okonkwo's congratulatory message.
And those congratulatory messages are inconsequential.
I know.
Very consequential.
The consequential thing there is not just the congratulatory message per se, but to show whether any of the aspirants still felt that things weren't done right. Because it is when they feel that things weren't done right, he will now call a lawyer, bring down the PDP constitution, and start looking for a loophole at what happened yesterday. So once they see a loophole at what happened yesterday, then that gives the room to go to court, and the court will see a window through which they can come in and say, no, what you did yesterday had no legal backing. You have said it here that legally problem, but you will solve it politically. But once anybody doesn't accept that political solution and is an aspirant, then that is the problem. But if he accepts it, say, okay, well, the way Ife Diokwenna, he said, if you read Ife Diokwenna's statement, he said, well, I had misgivings. I didn't like this, I didn't like that. But since it is what the party decided to do, we said, okay, let us now work to elect someone that we like. And they succeeded in getting Valentine. So that is why I'm talking about congratulatory message. It's another piece of paper, but it shows the heart condition of the aspirants. All right, thank you very much. It's been a very worthwhile conversation. The next stage, we have only 6 minutes now remaining. So, how do you see the chances of PDP in the November election? It's a pity that the three other guests had maybe network problems. Some of them are in transit, but you are the only one remaining. So we now have you, OCN. How do you see PDP's chances in the next election? Sorry, I will come back to you. Sorry, is Atuchukwu still here? Please, I will come back to you, OCN first, because Atuchukwu is the delegate at the election, so that's fine. OCN, how do you see PDP's chances?
I'll say a story that will take just a few seconds. A friend came visiting this evening, and we are talking about the primary yesterday, and I said, for us, the younger generation who are members of ILF, we started the preparation of this election like few years back, like 2019, and that our strategies and preparation paid off yesterday. And what am I saying? That same strategy that made the younger generation leaders to give their block vote to Valentine Ozigbo and won the older generation aspirants. That is the same strategy that we are going to use to go into the main election. And because we've been victorious in the primaries, I can assure you that we are going to be victorious in the main election come November 6, 2021.
Thank you very much. Atuchukwu Chode, please. How do you see PDP stances in the November election?
Okay, if I'm to rate on percentage, let me say, as of today, PDP has 60% chances of getting to Augustine. This is the fact because the candidate of PDP now is sellable, and a lot of people are, okay, let me give you an example now. As at yesterday morning, I had over 20 calls before 8 a.m. and from activists we had during our school days, our university days, friends abroad, people in the village, people I've not heard from for over 10 years. They called me to say, I saw your name on the list in the name South. Please, please vote for Valentine. Please, please. Over 20 people. You understand? So you see, I think he has done a good work. And we're going to give him support. You heard what OCN said. ILF is doing a good work too. And with this, the strength, the energy we are putting into this, PDP will get to Agoka. Come March, a PDP governor will be sworn in Agoka. I'm very, very optimistic. I'm very sure it will happen. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I think that's the much we can take tonight. The other parties are still struggling. ABGA may still resolve their problems. APC, we thought that APC had everything wrapped up, but yesterday the whole bubble blew. We don't even know what is happening anymore. I think it's a struggle between Senator Andy Oba and Senator Chris Ngige. That will be a fight to the finish. Only YPP now have a sole candidate, Ifeanyi Oba. PDP, if none of the aspirants start jumping up and down, as we will say the next 1 week, then PDP also has it wrapped up. We'll now see what happens in APC and ABGA. Ekene Mbwafoloba, you are raising up your hand. What do you want to say, sir?
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think I want to speak on the PDP's chance to win the November 6th election. There is no right moment to win the election than now, because even the ABGA-led government on my own scale and other people's scale has not performed well. So it is our chance to go to Agoka, and Valentine is the candidate. Thank you.
Thank you for your well-expressed opinion. And on this note, we say thank you all for joining with us tonight. Hopefully, when we get more information on what's happening in APC, we'll let you know. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Daniel.